Invisible zippers are nice because you really don't see anything except the slider. Let me show you how I have stitched this. So I have hugged in very closely to the coil, which is the teeth of the zipper. You'll notice also down here that at the bottom, these tails of the zipper tape are stitched just to the seam allowances after I've sewed the zipper in. Up here, you also see that this part is rolled back and then just stitched through, and that can be all the way through the seam allowance into the garment, because this will get caught in a seam, a facing, or a waistband or something. And this is another thing to take a look at, is that I have shortened this zipper. You know, it's nice when we can buy zippers of any length and then just cut them off. So the way I did that was to stitch across here, and that becomes the stopper so that the slider doesn't go any further. Before the zipper is inserted, it should be pressed so that you're just pushing the iron up next to the coil. Obviously making sure that the iron does not go onto the teeth, because they're plastic and they will melt. So we're just helping the zipper just to uncoil a little bit. To insert the zipper, we will place it so that the coil, the teeth of the zipper, will be on the seam allowance. So we're visualizing 5/8 of an inch here. Now, it is a very good practice to hand baste this in place. Another thing is you could baste it with this wash away tape. I'm just going to pin it. That's what I most commonly do. And yes, I do really like hand basting it, but for speed here, I'll just pin it in place. So the right side of the zipper is on the right side of the garment, with making sure that the zipper tape is pointed towards the raw edge. With this particular zipper, it's a little bit easy to get confused as to where's it going to go, but you could check yourself by rolling it back. That's the right side of the garment. Okay, I see the right side of the zipper. We're going to work with just a regular zipper foot. There is a special foot for invisible zippers that is really fantastic. However, not all students will have that, so I'll just use a regular zipper foot. I need the foot away from the teeth of the zipper, so I will pop the needle over to the far right, and that'll cause my zipper foot to be away from the teeth of the zipper. I'll lower the presser foot and lower the needle so that it's close to the coil. Give a little security there. And notice how my fingers are unrolling the coil as I hug in very tight. Now, because I'm hugging in tight, then I'm hoping that I won't see, that it'll be very invisible. That's the whole point, an invisible zipper. You can only go as far as the slider will allow. After that first stitching, you see I've closed the zipper, and this is a really good way to make sure that you're getting it just right. Here's the right side of the other part of the garment, and if you put it this way, you're making sure that the zipper is going to be placed so that the raw edge is next to the raw edge of the garment, and that you'll get it in place correctly. So I'll just put one pin there to hold it in place. Then I can unzip and go ahead and pin like I did before, with the zipper tape closer to the raw edge, the coil at the seam line. I'm ready to sew the other side. I've got it all pinned in, making sure it's right side of the zipper to the right side of the garment. I'm going to pop the needle to the other side of the zipper foot. You know, I always make sure that the needle goes down correctly so that I'm safe and won't break the needle. I'll stitch this side. Again, as always, I'm making sure that I'm hugging in very close there, closely, and that pin needs to be pulled. Notice how my fingers, because this is not basted when it really could be, my fingers are helping to hold the coil the zipper foot just really hug in. I've sewed both sides of the zipper, as you can see. Now let me show you the bottom part and how we complete the seam for the rest of the garment. So our stitching had to stop here, and now we want to close the seam for the rest of the garment. So I put pins in here, and my goal is to get this under the presser foot and continue from where I left off on that last sewing. And it's really hard to get that close, again, to where I left off, but then continue down the rest of the garment. So that's my goal. This would be just a regular seam in a garment, going down to the bottom of the dress or the skirt or whatever the garment is, with just a standard stitch. Now, let me tell you that a lot of people do about an inch of hand stitching there at the base of the zipper so that you can hug in better, and then pick up the machine stitching. I'm giving this a try for this video, and I got in pretty close. So let's just see if that has a bubble at the end. And when I press, I don't think it will. I'll press it, then we'll see. This is where I've stitched below the zipper, and I think that's pretty good. I don't think that's much of a bubble. And that shows how I connected the stitching up with the zipper, the stitching that had applied the zipper. Remember, these tails are still loose, so we will attach them to just the seam allowance. I'll move to the sewing machine and just stitch this. So I'll just stitch this zipper tape to the seam allowance, and that's it. So it won't be floppy. I'll do the other one the same way. This coil can be rolled back like that, and let's see if I can hold it that way with a pin. I'm not sure if I can. But the idea is if that's rolled back and stitched through, then it will stay more coiled as this goes into a seam allowance. And I honestly don't think that's always necessary, but if I can, I give it a try. Just stitch it so that it stays rolled over just a little bit there, and that'll go into a seam allowance. And supposedly that kind of helps the zipper stay coiled, rolled over. Yeah, see that?